one group of receivers on one side, one group on the other side, two quarterbacks. Quarterback on the right, throws to the right. Quarterback on the left, throws to the left, right? Well, they had Deebo and Ayuk split out. Ayuk left, Deebo right. Trey Lance was on the left. He was going to throw to Ayuk. Sudfeld was on the right. He was going to throw to Deebo. Looking at Ayuk, Trey Lance is saying something to Ayuk about whatever the route's going to be. He looks to the right. He sees Deebo. He grabs Sudfeld and moves Sudfeld over to his left so that they switch. He switched spots with Sudfeld so that he could throw to Deebo. And I do wonder if Trey Lance knows that him and Deebo he's had plenty of reps with Ayuk. He needs more time with Deebo. And then today they had another teaching moment. Deep ball. The ball goes down the sideline. Deebo broke it off. Who did the wrong thing?
I mean, shit, I don't have the play, but I'd assume the way Deebo acted is that Trey did. And that's part of, this is what we talked about last year with going with Jimmy. And it worked out because they ended up getting to the playoffs. But this is where it would have been a disaster if they had lost that Rams game and missed the playoffs and not have had those extra 3 weeks. Because those are type reps. What is the NFL, right? It's not just audibles at the line of scrimmage. It's audibling as the play's going. Like the options in a route based on the coverage. Well, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady didn't just know that when they showed up or their first start. You learned that over time. And Deebo clearly went to him and did one of those classic coach things like, hey, man, when the safety cheats, it might just be when he's 2 yards inside the numbers, I'm always going to go the deep out, not the post. You just throw it at the sideline. That's where I'm going to go. Isn't that what every football nerd, when Peyton and Reggie Wayne talked or Tom Brady and Edelman talked, it's about, remember last year, there was the viral video of Kelsey, Hill, and Mahomes in the playoff game where Kelsey's like, looks at Tyreek. He's like, go behind me. Remember on the 13 seconds on the second play? And it was like, these guys are like Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And how would they not be? They've been playing together for so long. He saw something. Kelsey's like, go this way. And boom, they got that extra 20 yards and they kick the field goal. But does that happen if they're in their first year of playing? Probably not, right? And that's just part of football. And to me, that's going to be part of, like, that's going to happen a lot this year. You and I were talking before we hopped on. I think some of his intercept, like a lot of Jimmy picks happen on like slow ball, like was way slow and the ball came out late on like an out and it was like a pick six. Or, it's like, oh my God. I think Trey is going to have more, and like Mahomes and Allen have these early in their career, the deep shots that just like Stafford had a couple of them early last year where he led it to Odell Beckham when they first played the Niners and it just hit Mosley.
Forced it to Odell Beckham.
Yeah, but he got it like a Willie Mays catch. Yeah. He's going to have some Willie Mays picks 40 yards down the field. Like that's a lock to happen. Because when you're pushing the ball down the field, which is going to be his number one attribute to me as a passer, we've talked about this all week, going deep, he's going to get fooled by some coverages. And you saw that happen today, which is 100% understandable. And you just got to learn through it. And hopefully it happens right when you're up 21-7 and not when you're down 17-13 in the fourth quarter driving against the Rams, right? And I think Kyle will I think the first couple games, and this is where we talked about, like, the number one thing when the schedule released was, like, who are their first couple games against? Is it, like, the Rams? Is it the Bucks or the Packers or whoever their toughest opponents were? Is it the Chiefs? It was the Bears.
Even the Cardinals defense, even though he's played them.
Yeah, that would have been a tough game. And Seattle, who we think is going to be terrible. It's like, okay, he kind of gets to – if you told me he's got, like, 3 picks through a couple games and they win both of them, I actually think that would be a very healthy thing. And even I saw Kyle, I think, quoted early on in this, like maybe before we were going to practice when they were in shorts and T-shirts, like last week, like if shit doesn't go wrong, when there are some struggles, when he's like 9 of 24, like what's my, like, I want this to go long. I'm a coach. Like that's right. We're working through stuff, but some of the stuff's just going to happen in the games that you don't. I mean, these defensive coordinators get paid $2 to $4 million in the NFL for a reason. Some of them are really good, right? And some of these defensive players, hell, some of them are in the Niners division, right? I guess Honey Badger, I don't even know where he's at, but they're just going to place these safeties and linebackers that can just.
You say Buda Baker?
Yeah, Buda for sure. I was trying to think of the guys on the Rams, but I don't
Is
even
Weddle
know.
back?
Now he usually comes back like I think
He'll
January
be back
1st.
in 2025. Taylor Rapp.
Who you might want to throw after.
Yeah. Jordan Fuller.
I just think that like be prepared for him to get fooled, which is be prepared for any that's a young quarterback. That's part of this. I'm already prepared for it. I'm ready to live through it. Is Kyle?
Yeah. Yes, he is. He's about to do it. He's doing it. It's happening. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I started thinking this morning when he said we got to start the season fast, be aggressive, that kind of stuff. What does that really mean, you think, to him? When Kyle Shanahan says we got to start the season fast, we got to be aggressive, we don't want to be racing at the end of the year to make the playoffs. Like, what does that actually mean? What actions does he take as a reflection of that attitude?
Physically dominating early on in the season.
But he already does that. That's already his thing. He already wants to run the ball.
But remember last year
they throw a lot on first down. Is he going to throw deep on first down a lot?
But do you remember last year I think part of it was like open with the Lions game, Lions came back. The Eagles game was actually probably a little too close with a quarterback that couldn't throw, Jalen, at the time. It was just they started 2-0, but it was a little bit of weird 2-0 for a good team, right? And then it manifested itself the next several weeks. They started losing all those games to good teams because they couldn't win in the margins. Like I think he wants to when we play the Bears, I want to win 33-3, right? I want to just impose our will. And if that's running for 250 yards, but I think it's the way they play, like never letting up, pedal to the metal. I hear what you're saying about bombs, but it'll be interesting to see him implement just like and be cool with double thumbs up, bombs, non-schemed, like I have a play action hit, just like, are we running multiple go routes with Deebo and Danny Gray or Ayuk on the outside?
But where do like young quarterbacks interceptions or mistakes? I feel like young quarterbacks' mistakes come from, you remember watching young Baker, I know you do, where he didn't realize that he couldn't run away from people in the NFL. And I wonder if some of those picks are going to be, it'll probably be a variation of all this stuff. What you're talking about, like the one he threw on Tuesday in the red zone where he just didn't get, or Monday in the red zone, he just didn't get to use check coming across the goal line in time. And he's looking across his body late. Ward picks him off.
Wouldn't you rather have a guy that's cool with, and this is probably a positive on Trey, he kind of feels his way out at first before even he feels a little more confident running. Just watched him through a couple days. Again, practice, not the same as a game. The Baker's a good example, but I even go back to Johnny Manziel, who is an athletic guy that's like, I just run around. And he took off. Like Baker's like, Baker, you are a pocket quarterback. What are you doing? Johnny at least was a scrambler. And I remember him playing Kuechly on like a Thursday night game. And Kuechly caught him within 2 steps. Like, Johnny, what the fuck are you doing? Where I think Trey would be less inclined to like think he can outrun a guy. Like he would just maybe stop and throw. Right. And who knows? That's another thing. Like as a scrambler, how's he going to play? Because this goes back to Russell and Deshaun, who I've said scramble to throw. Will Trey scramble to throw and then throw deep? Because that's also like a Mahomes Allen characteristic, right? And Watson and Russell, they scramble, keep play alive, and they do this.